So historically, there are every bipartite has got its own charm, its own history. First bipartite, for example, I am giving you another short story, call it or anecdote or a fact. It's a fact of life. We went for signing the settlement before the Chief Labour Commissioner. At that time, Jagjivan Ram was the Labour Minister. They suggested this first industry level settlement and first bipartite settlement should be signed before the Labour Minister. We agreed. So from Chief Labour Commissioner, we went to the Labour Minister Babu Jagjivan Ram. When we sat for signing, Babu Jagjivan Ram suddenly raised a question. He told Prabhat Babu, kya harja hai? Yes, you have negotiated this settlement. You have agitated for this settlement and you have come for signing. What do you lose is our boys also are allowed to sign this settlement. What he meant was that if INTUC Union, which was named at that time as All India Bank Employees Federation, INTC All India Union was All India Bank Employees Federation. We were All India Bank Employees Association. So Babu Jagjivan Ram put us into a dilemma that without changing a comma, if they are allowed to put their thumb impression, what objection you can have? For a while we were taken by surprise. With the result that we had all to go out of his room and consult amongst ourselves whether to allow this thing or not. And you will be surprised, finally we came to a conclusion, we are creating a new history. We are creating a new method of negotiation and settlement of an employee's dispute without a third party. We are bilaterally settling it. A new phase in negotiation. Doesn't matter if the ruling party's stooge organization also is allowed to sign. Finally, we allowed All India Bank Employees Federation without changing a comma to sign the settlement. Understand? And people like me who were also at that time quite young, we were also quite enthusiastic. We were also at that time politically committed. We had also the sharp understanding of the politics of the country. We had also the understanding of the trade union movement as such. And by that time, don't forget it, AIBA had become the leader of the middle class trade union. AIBA by that time had become a vanguard of the middle class trade union movement. So successfully we fought in favor of nationalization. Although in earlier we passed the resolution in 1946. We went on strike in 1954 for nationalization. And then we fought the social control put in by Morarji Desai in 1966-67. 1.5 years we had a struggle against the social control. Now the point is whether there is so much of a time with me or whether the patience is there with your readers. Whether your readers have got a patience to digest this stuff which I am trying to put before you, that how much difficulties we had to face, how much political crisis we had to face, how much political courage we had shown, the determination, the sacrifice, the courage, the teamwork, the team spirit with which we worked overzealously. We fought the government, we fought the capitalist system of this country in a most democratic but militant manner. Hats off to the bank employees of that age. Hats off to the bank employees, those who fought in 1951 or 45, 46, 50. But hats off also to those employees who led the work to rule movement in 1964. But there is nothing to beat what the bank employees did in 1970 by asserting the right for nationalization of the public sector, the commitment which was made by the Indian National Congress in the year 1934 in their Congress session. From 34 to 1970. That promise was fulfilled and the AIBA and the bank employees under the AIBA played a very major historic role. This needs to be understood, this needs to be emphasized. I do not know whether today's generation who have got all this employment, it is only because of nationalization. The present 10 lakh bank employees, I may just remind you that in 1947 we were just 20,000 bank employees. In 1969 we were less than 60,000 bank employees. And today we are 10 lakh bank employees. And all these 10 lakhs have got employment because of nationalization of the bank. They may be graduates. I am only reminding those employees who claim themselves to be graduates, double graduates and the master degree holders. In the city of Bombay, I can show you the graduates are shining shoes. They are boot polish करते हैं यहाँ बम्बई शहर में graduate. So this is because of the trade union AIBA. Let me remind the young generation of the bank employees. Whatever today you are there, you are because of your militant, well organized, a fighting trade union. Those 5 words are called AIBEA. So AIBA is the trend setter. Don't forget, my young comrades to whom I am addressing, you are the trend setter. Your organization is the pace setter. AIBA has set the pace. Now question is whether the pace is being maintained or it is slowed down. Today the question which people are raising, Comrade Chedda, whether the trend which you, the leaders like Prabhakar, Parwana, Mandal, Dada Purao and all others, leave aside the living people, they are the legends, a few of us like me and Tarakeshwar who are living. Yes, people do say we have created a history. Not only history, we have created a new generation of the bank employees. Whether they are going to appreciate, understand and then preserve it. My worry is preservation. Preservation of history is a very difficult thing. अगर हिंदी में मैं उसको कहूँ, हर एक अतीत का जो हो वो भविष्य भी होता है और वर्तमान भी है. आज वर्तमान है, मैंने जो कुछ बोला है वो अतीत है और आज मेरे सामने सवाल है कि भविष्य क्या होगा. मैं ये नहीं कहता कि भविष्य डरावना है, लेकिन भविष्य इतना चमकीला नहीं है, इतना शानदार नहीं मुझे नजर आता, इतना चमकता हुआ शाइनिंग जितना हमारा अतीत था. हमारा अतीत था एक संघर्ष का अतीत, एक विक्ट्री, एक फतह, एक जो कुछ जीता वो हमारा अतीत था. आज वर्तमान में हम उसको प्रिजर्व करना है और वर्तमान से जब भविष्य में लेके जाना है तो उसको और भी मजबूत और शानदार. मैं नहीं जानता, मैं गेस वर्क नहीं कर सकता, लेकिन मुझे डर जरूर है. आई एम अफ्रेड वेदर द पास्ट विच इज सो ब्राइट एंड ब्यूटिफुल, full of struggles, full of achievements and sacrifices, and that has brought the bank employees to the present level. What is the present condition? The past was historically bright. The present even is not that dark and dormant. Present even is not that dark, but present has become shaky. Let us not forget, under the pressure of the World Bank and the IMF and this new economic policies started by the government under the leadership of Narasimha Rao and Dr. Manmohan Singh, under the pressure of World Bank and the IMF, this policy of liberalization and globalization and privatization is having its own impact and effect. There are people in this world who are glorifying the economic policies, new economic policies of Narasimha Rao. On one side they say inflation has come down. I do not know where it has come down. The retail prices are going up. My purchasing power is going down. The rupee's value vis-a-vis the dollar has been devalued completely. The rupee doesn't have that purchasing power in the international market, in the national market, and the banking system has become totally incapacitated. Firstly, it was misused and abused by the political forces, particularly the Congress, who had definitely priority sector was a good thing to do. But how priority sector was abused through the loan melas, that money has not come back. Industrial houses which have taken the money, it has become such a huge amount. As on 31st March 1992, Manmohan Singh made a statement in the parliament that it has come to 37,000 crores. Now my figure latest is on this 31st March, by that time the figure is 82,000 crore. Non-performing assets are going up. Banks' recoveries are not coming up. Banks' this recapitalization process are the Basel Committee recommendations for adequacy of capital and the norms. Frankly enough, I belong to that school of thought. Nationalized banks need not have the Basel implementation of the Basel Committee. But the Narsimham Committee report is a copy of absolutely what has been dictated by the IMF and World Bank. See, phenomena in our country is that public is being misled. 78% of India lives in the villages. They are not the literate. They are not educated. And excuse me, I am using a term. Today's India's educated, much of the gentlemen, they are illiterate. Although educated but illiterate. There is a vast difference between the two words. They are no doubt educated, but they are educated through the media, television, videos and newspapers, English newspapers, run by the Indian capitalists. There is vast discussion can take place, but I don't know whether I should go on with that. I am only saying the post-nationalized period which has just now come, it is full of dangers. Although we gave a slogan for restructuring of the banking industry, although we agitated for restructuring, we went on strike, but the capitalist system under the leadership of the World Bank and IMF, they have not allowed us to succeed. And again, my only feeling as a top trade union leader is that our rank and file has also not got involved into it. Although we have produced literature for them, my experience is when I have gone throughout the country, particularly in the urban, semi-urban areas and even certain areas, well, they do not know what we have produced. They do not know what are our demands. No, this is what I called is bad luck. That means the weakness of the organization. Our organizational structure has also become weak, I confess. I am making a confession for the improving the health of the trade union, not only health of the banking industry. On one side, we are, people like me are for improving the health of the banking industry. But at the same time, I want to improve the health of the trade union. And I am pointing out to you, the young generation who are today holding the reins of the trade union movement, well, banking industry's health, whatever it is there, your own health is not good. You are becoming weaker, your fighting capacity is not there. Your intellectual capacity you leave aside. I don't want to ask for the IQ even, whether IQ has gone down, whether intellectual capacity has gone down. At least you are intelligent. You may not be intellectuals, but you, the bank compliance leaders who are in command now, my appeal to them is that they should organize the rank and file. They should develop the strength and the capacity to save the nationalization, fight against the privatization. Private banks are only serving the metropolitan and the big industry. Nationalized banks are serving the common poor man. The need of the hour is that you have to self-equip. You have to equip yourself. These type of speeches may not help. No doubt I am giving this interview with a view to make you, to arise you, to awaken you, to bring you to a position that you do not remain in slumber. You rise up, you awaken, try to understand the weaknesses of the banking industry and also of your own trade union movement, because particularly in the context of high technology coming in, don't forget that high technology we have opposed the maxim. That is right from first bipartite chapter 6 on mechanization, that is 1966 to 1987. Although we gave in 1983 one small settlement, we gave 1987 another settlement, but what we had to give in 1989-90, that was nothing as compared to that. the present computerization settlement has got a tremendous effect, and those are the banks, particularly foreign banks and newly established private banks and State Bank of India, they are marching forward, and this is going to cause a problem by the turn of the century. I am only warning you. I am not that type of leader who believes in only tali bajao. I don't want only praise. I don't belong to that school of thought that you should not share your weaknesses with your rank and file. I am with conviction. I am warning you, the young generation, by the turn of the century, if banking industry is provided with the resources to introduce the high technology, that is the computerization, then there will be redundancy of labor. In spite of our settlement, nobody will be retrenched. But don't forget, redundancy has got its own evil effects. An idle man is a devil's workshop. An idle man cannot sit idle. He will be doing so many things wrong. What happened in the oil industry, Burma Shell, Caltex, I still remember. Once the computers were brought, the employees were paid their salaries throughout the day. They used to play carom and rummy in the canteens. The result was many of them had to commit suicide. Finally, they accepted the voluntary retirement and they went on the roads. In exchange banks also, so many have started accepting the VRS, voluntary retirement. That phenomena might come in the nationalized banks also. It's a warning, and if I don't give the warning, I will be failing in my duty. But if we are intelligent enough, if we are organized enough, in a systematic manner, we can improve the customer service, we can improve the performance of the nationalized banking, we can make the nationalized bank to compete with the foreign transnational banks and also private banks, provided there is a will. Where there is a will, there is a way. This is my slogan, my advice to you, the young generation. Please rise, try to understand the implications of the present day state of affairs of the banking industry.